Hello and welcome to Teacher Needs a Drink podcast. I am Elvis, your host, and this is a Not Safe for Work podcast. We are teachers and we love our jobs, and because of that, we're going to use pseudonyms so we can remain anonymous and keep our jobs. I'd like to give a special thank you to all of our Patreon donors out there. If you'd like to be a Patreon donor, you can go to Teacher Needs a Drink podcast Patreon, and for a small price of at least even $5, you can get cool Teacher Needs a Drink podcast swag, lost episodes, special bonus things, and even get access to our Discord. I'd also like to thank our sponsor, Lud Lamb Dramatics. If you need educational theater posters for your classroom, go to ludlamdramatics.com. They have all kinds of amazing posters. One that's called The Show Must Go On that lists every single reason a kid might give to try to get out of doing something. That's right, you can get that at ludlamdramatics.com. Lud Lamb Dramatics. Teacher Needs a Drink podcast comes out every Wednesday. If you have a story or something you'd like to share with us, you can tag us on Instagram or Facebook, or you can go to our website, teacherneedsadrinkpodcast.com, and leave a submission there. Please follow, subscribe, leave a review, and also, if you can, the best way you can help us, besides joining Patreon, is you can just go find one person and tell them about the podcast. Help spread the word one person at a time. That's all. Well, my friends, welcome to episode 32. Enjoy.
Where else do we have to be right now?
You could be asleep. You could be in your lover's arms.
Fuck allergies, guys. They get worse as I get older. Like, I used to not be allergic to anything.
Yeah, welcome. Getting older, everything sucks.
Well, welcome to Teacher Needs a Drink podcast. I am Elvis, your host. With me today is Turd Ferguson.
Here to talk some shit.
Awesome. And then with me, we also have Rosie.
Hello, hello.
And of course, Miss Bunny O'Hare.
Hi, Elvis.
And with us, the glorious allergy-infested Miss Sparkles.
Sup, bitches?
Was looking online, I see a lot of schools just finished spring break and are just now starting online teaching, which is crazy because this is week 5 for me right now. I think I was checking out how many lessons I'd sent out. So this is my 5th week of online teaching. I know some of you guys started before me.
It's week 6 for me.
I think week 7. I'm not sure.
I think we're on week 5, but it feels like we're on week 72.
Yes.
It definitely, I feel like I'm kind of running out of inspiration, even though I have pages and miles of books and stuff. I'm like, okay, I just want to go through this. I had one of my schools, which I'm really excited about, sent me an email today and was like, hey, you know, how's participation going? Should we keep this going over the summer? This is a private school. And I'm like, yeah, well, we had the first week or two, a lot of kids did it. And like the last week or two, there's been like 5 out of like the 70 kids. I'm like, I don't think I want to keep this going over the summer if no one really wants to. And I've changed, what do you want to call it, tactics a few times, because I think the first week everyone did it because it was there and it was new. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, well, maybe what I was doing was too challenging, or it was a little too, let's try changing tactics a little bit. And yeah, I think most kids now are like, yeah, I don't want to do more work online if I don't have to.
Right.
Yeah.
And I get that and I understand that. And I don't take it personally because I know at my age I would have done the same thing, even if it was the most exciting class in the world. If I had to choose between like playing video games and chatting with my friends there or doing stuff on or for the computer for school, I would probably choose video games.
I think the kids are kind of hitting the saturation point.
I think everyone's hitting the saturation point. I know a lot of teachers now are hitting the fuck this. I want to go outside. I want to see friends, or I just don't want this responsibility. The biggest trend, and we had something about this on our Facebook page, was that how come we're at home and we're not in the building, but we have almost 10 times more work and it's 5 times more stressful than it was before?
Fuck, yeah.
So this isn't easy. I am looking forward to summer. Like, I can just process this whole crazy quarantine.
We sent out progress reports today. Just so parents knew what their kids were missing. And I got a couple of emails from parents that were like, my kid's missing work. And I was like, yeah, fam. I mean, they're not checking in on Canvas, and so they're not turning anything in. But I have gotten a couple of really nice emails from the kids who were like, I'm so sorry. I'm so overwhelmed. I'm a little confused. There's just a lot of things. And I was like, can relate.
It's times like this I'm glad I didn't have take-home projects where the kids had like take-home school equipment or anything like that and bring it back. I can't imagine being a band teacher right now and having to get all these spit-covered instruments back.
Band,
Ferguson,
orchestra, choir, they have to get their uniforms back. Kids left personal belongings in the school. So like some kids left jackets and their gym bags are just in the building, have been sitting there since last month.
The saddest one I've heard about is like my mom and dad are both retiring this year. And so this is their send off. Basically, they don't get to have like, their retirement get togethers. They both went up to their schools and had to completely pack up their offices by themselves because nobody else was allowed in the building. And I feel so bad for those people. Like, I understand, like, all the teachers have to go pack up their rooms, but like my mom packing up her office, that's been in her office for 20 years. I can't imagine it. It makes me sad.
Yeah, do it in 2 hours and get out quick.
Pretty much. They were like, nobody can come help you, only you can be in there. And I was like, really, are they going to like follow that? And she was like, yeah, you can't come.
I moved from one campus to another campus over the summer, and then at semester, I moved classrooms within my building. I think I would be having an out-of-body experience right now if they told me I had 15 minutes to pack my room up again. So that sounds nightmarish anyway. But then also, so much of what we do is the relationships that we have with the kids and with each other. And I know I sound very like touchy-feely, woo-woo Hufflepuff right now, but that sounds miserable, going up and like seeing the kids and not being able to talk to them and just being like, okay, bye. This all sucks. It all sucks.
But I think everyone's split between two camps almost. There's not really a lot of in between. I know I vacillate between the two of fuck this, I'm done, I don't want to teach, I don't want to do any of this anymore, to man, I really miss that, I want to go back. And I think it's okay to be in either of those camps, and I think it's also okay to go back and forth between them.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because there are days where I don't want to teach at all and screw this, and I become the most like cynical person about it. And other days I'm like, oh, I'm putting a lot of love and effort into this lesson, I'm really trying, I'm excited. All right. I have something that came up today, and this had never been an issue before, but a lot of my students have to record videos of themselves doing stuff for the class for their grade. And today I had 3 shirtless boys, not together, just independent for their video they were sharing was them kind of posing and talking without a shirt.
Oh, no.
And these are like 10-year-olds. And I'm like, okay, we have to wear clothes while we're doing this. This is still school. This is not... I get groomed when I'm making videos or conferencing. Like, at least make sure my hair is combed and my face is clean, my teeth is brushed and clear. I wear a shirt. I mean, I don't wear pants at home. And just to be honest, I'm not wearing pants for you guys. The kids don't see that. It's pretty much like, navel up for all my videos. So as long as I have a shirt on, I think they can take the time to at least do the same. But no.
Yeah, that's gross.
Yeah, so when we were starting the digital learning journey, we got very specific instructions about because we have to, as it turns out, when we record our classes, it only records us and not the kids, but we weren't really positive at first if it recorded the whole screen, meaning the kids that we can see in their little boxes. But we got very specific instructions about if a kid pops into the class and they are not appropriately dressed to be seen by other human beings, then you are to eject them and lock them out and then let an assistant principal know, because school rules are still in effect for the most part. They're be reasonable. If they're wearing a hoodie and they've got their hood up, they're at home, so you don't know, it might be cold in their house. But yeah, if a shirtless boy pops in, you kick his little patukas right back out.
We have one here by Reddit user I Am Beans. A parent emailed our district superintendent to complain about her son's grade in my class. Yikes. There's a first time for everything, I suppose. A student's mother emailed me to express concern since her son, an 11th grader, had a failing average for term 3 about a week before report cards were issued. I told her that he can complete the assignments that he hasn't turned in for partial credit to improve his average. He didn't, so he kept that failing average on his report card. Due to the pandemic situation, our superintendent and admin told us that we can go back and enter grades for term 3 until April 30th. I told the mother this, and the student finally turned in his work and has a passing average now. She told me that she's relieved that he's passing and wouldn't fail 11th grade, but she's disappointed in his average. Well, apparently she wasn't relieved, since I got an email from my principal this morning telling me that the parent got the district superintendent involved.
That bitch!
I just forwarded our email correspondence to my admin and let them deal with it. I feel like I bent over backwards to keep her in the know and try to help, only to have it thrown back in my face. Does anyone else just love when parents undermine our authority and call our integrity as well-educated professionals into question? I honestly wouldn't have minded if she had just emailed the admin first, but she went over my and their heads and just put me on full blast to our superintendent. Sorry for the Dear Diary tirade that this turned into, but I just needed to vent because I'm so pissed that this parent not only chose to do this to me, but she chose to do it during the midst of a public health crisis where everyone is already emotional and anxious. It's brazenly tone deaf and makes me feel like I don't matter not only as a teacher, but as a human being with real feelings and emotions. Surely I'm not in the wrong in this situation, right? I'm going to go definitely you are not in the wrong, dear I am beans. That was a rude thing for her to do.
No, that's shit. I think people sometimes forget that everyone else is wading through this mental health disaster at the same time. So they feel that because they are hurt or upset or put out that they can just shit on other people for no reason.
I get that they have parents, that there are parents out there like that. Believe me, we've all dealt with them. But like, get your head out of your own fucking ass for a second and realize your child is an idiot and not the only person on the planet, and give your teacher a little grace. Like, Jesus.
The parent knew that the kid hadn't turned in the work. I'm sorry, are we supposed to just change our whole grading policy and make an exception for your little snowflake because he didn't get his work turned in on time either time we told him to?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what she wanted the superintendent to do. Like, was he or she supposed to just completely change the grading guidelines just to make this parent happy?
Because it's a pandemic, I'm assuming she thought like, oh, we're going to be a little bit more lenient, and he turned it in, so maybe she'll give him full credit, even though it was weeks and weeks and weeks late.
She's just a Karen who's used to like bitching and then getting a free appetizer at Applebee's. She's just, I mean, this is just her life. I'm sure she operates like this, pandemic or non.
I am a big proponent of letting kids fail in small ways so that they, A, learn from their mistakes, and B, develop coping skills so that when they run into big failures or big struggles later on, they won't crash and burn and have, a shutdown and completely forget how to cope. Because, like, I understand, and this is all easy for me to say because I don't actually have biological children, but
it doesn't matter because experience is experience. Okay, I'm logging off. Keep going. Sorry.
I understand the impulse that the parents want to help their children and want to save their children from what they see as unnecessary, emotional pain or suffering or whatever, or stress, but it's kind of robbing them of the opportunity to develop that resilience and develop those coping skills. What's going to happen if they go on to college and they fail a class and mommy calls up to yell at the dean of the department, and the dean of the department is like, I'm sorry, who are you? And they don't care, and the kid just gets whatever they earned or didn't earn. And I understand that it comes from a place of love, but we're not doing them any favors when we swoop in and try to rescue them all the time.
Mama Sparkles was a lot like Papa Ferguson. I joke with her sometimes that I was the most neglected child in my graduating class because she did. She let me fail. She let me get in trouble. She let me navigate, reasonably tough waters by myself. Although she would get upset about the weirdest things and confront my teachers about things that were very strange because she is very protective of my feelings. So you're not allowed to upset me. If she makes me cry, that's okay. She's my mom. But this includes my father, by the way. Other people are not allowed to make me upset. One of my favorite school stories about Mama Sparkles was I was a freshman in high school and I had my first high school audition and I totally fucked it up. And my high school director did not have me come up and read a second time like everybody else did. So I got in the car and I'm crying. I mean, I am crying my sad little eyeballs out because I had moved back to my home state specifically to be in this guy's theater program. And I was like, he's not ever going to cast me. And I totally blew it. And everybody else got to read twice. And I didn't get to read twice. And I did so bad. And I was just like really upset. But she honed in on the everybody else got to read twice and I didn't. So yeah, right. So she dropped me off at home and she said, I'm going to the grocery store. So I thought she went to the grocery store and she came back and she didn't have groceries. So I was like, that's weird. But I didn't think too much of it at the time. And then a few months later, after, I had been cast in a show and I was working hard and my director was really great. We're having a grand old time. We're at a speech tournament a few months later and my director goes, hey, did I ever tell you about that time your mom asked me if I was racist? And I was like,
no.
No.
Yes. I stopped in my sweet little 15-year-old tracks. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? And he was like, oh, yeah, it was after auditions for the fall show. And, you had left and then your mom came back a few minutes later and she marched into my office and she stood in the doorway and she said, hello, I'm Miss Sparkle's mom. Are you a racist? No, I'm gay.
Yes.
And then she was like, oh, and then she got really excited because he was gay. All that to say, my mom mostly let me handle things on my own, but when she didn't, it was not appropriate.
And now, Ask a Teenager with Lisa Marie.
So, Lisa Marie, how are you doing during this time of learning at home on the interwebs?
I'm still behind in a lot of my classes because I've been trying to get caught up, but there's just a lot of work and stuff.
Is your school district, are they still taking, do you still get points off for work being late? Or are you still allowed to turn it in late for full credit?
I'm not quite sure. I don't know. I think they're not taking points off, but some of my teachers have things that close if you don't do them on a certain day. So you have to email them. Some classes that aren't as important are just giving us kind of busy work. And so I do those last, but then I get behind still. But my dance class, I feel like I get them wanting us to do activities and stuff, but we're not even dancing. We're just doing paper assignments. And my theater class is we had to read a book and then we have to read a play and then we have to do a design thing, but we only have a couple weeks left. So he's shoving it all in 2 weeks and it's very stressful. I have also online dance for my studio because I still have recital after this whole thing is done. So trying to go to that and do schoolwork.
How the hell do you online dance? And y'all dance all together?
I mean, I guess. That's weird.
Question number 1, because this is something that they ask on another podcast that I listen to. What is saving your life right now? What is keeping you sane?
Being able just to put my schoolwork down and just be able to spend time with my mom.
Did we both just awe at you? Yes.
We did.
Yes, we did.
We did awe. Because that's very sweet. Okay, and other question. If I wanted to learn a TikTok dance to mess with my students, what would be an easy, accessible TikTok dance that my ancient self would be able to achieve?
Keep in mind, she can actually move. The girl can move. She's not inequipped.
I don't know any of the recent ones because I deleted TikTok.
You deleted the TikToks?
I deleted the TikToks. It was taking up so much space on my phone. I feel like you should learn the Carol Baskin one.
Oh, I'm learning that one to do at the wedding. So everybody should learn it, and then we're all going to do it together.
Flash mob it?
Yeah. I told my maid of honor, I showed her the video on Instagram, and I was like, we're learning this. And then she told me I would dislocate a knee if I tried to learn it, and I was like, I don't care. We're learning it. We're doing it with it.
I think that would be a good one to mess with.
Thank you, Lisa Marie.
You're welcome.
Remember, Lisa Marie, that your mental health is more important than your schoolwork.
Yes. You've got a room full of teachers sitting here telling you this.
Whoop, whoop.
But when your teachers email your assistant principal and then your assistant principal calls your parents 20 times,
then you tell him that your personal nurse, Rosie said, suck it, and your mental health is more important than your assignments.
Also tell him your Auntie Sparkles can come to his office and ask if he's a racist.
Hey, Bunny, what are you drinking?
I am drinking my beverage tonight of vodka and Coke out of my delightful Teacher Needs a Drink coffee mug.
What? There's merch?
If you too would like to get your delightful little paws around a Teacher Needs a Drink coffee mug, Elvis, how can they do that?
Well, you just need to go to Teacher Needs a Drink Podcast Patreon. And for as little as $5, you can get access to old episodes, new rare episodes, and you can also get Teacher Needs a Drink swag like mugs, bottle openers,
and other
more
things.
So this one is called The Free-Willing Architect. You are close friends with a wonderful 30-year-old woman who has never been in a romantic relationship. At long last, she meets a man she seems to like and who likes her. He is 35, a successful architect, relatively attractive, and refreshingly unguarded. In fact, he is so unguarded that, during the first meal you ever share with him, he stoically tells the entire table a stunning story. This is his anecdote. When I was 12 years old, I was playing with my neighbor on a railroad bridge near our home. No one else was around. We got into an argument, and I pushed him off the bridge, killing him instantly. I told everyone it was an accident, and I never got into any trouble. But I knew what I was doing. At the time, I truly wanted to kill him. Now, in retrospect, it was obviously wrong. I wish I had not killed that person. But that was 23 years ago. Little kids do crazy things. You know how it goes. The next day, your female friend asks if she should continue pursuing this relationship. How do you advise her?
Okay, two things. One, I did some crazy shit as a child, and murder was not one of them. Number
Slacker.
two, I'm going to pull her aside, I'm going to pour her a drink, and I'm going to tell her to get the fuck out. Absolutely not. Get out of there. No.
Miss Sparkles.
One, you definitely should not date someone who pushed someone off a bridge. Also, there is a real life story almost similar to this that I read in Texas Monthly, where this young man, it's one of the first school shootings that's been documented. It was in Austin, and he killed his teacher, and it got like super, he was in like 8th grade. So it got like super swept under the rug, and he ended up like moving to Dallas to finish school and like was in a psychiatric hospital for a while. And now he's just out there like living his life in Austin. He's a lawyer.
All right, thanks for joining us for another edition of Teacher Needs a Drink podcast, episode 32. Ms. Bunny O'Hare, it was wonderful having you here.
Thank you for inviting me.
Awesome. Mr. Turd Ferguson, it was great to hear your voice for the first part of the podcast.
Thank you so very much for having me.
Ms. Rosie Rose, it's a delight to hear from you.
Always a pleasure, Elvis.
And so, Miss Sparkles, next week, same time?
Same bat time, same bat channel.
Sounds awesome. All right, guys, cheers.
Cheers.
All right, my friends, thank you for joining us for another episode of Teacher Needs a Drink podcast. That was episode 32. Teacher Needs a Drink podcast comes out every Wednesday. If you can, find one person in your building or, in your Zoom meetings and tell them about Teacher Needs a Drink podcast. I'd like to thank our guest, Rosie Rose, Bunny O'Hare, Liz Sparkles, and Turd Ferguson. Also, I'd like to thank our sponsors at Ludlam Dramatics and all of our Teacher Needs a Drink Patreons out there. Please follow, subscribe, leave a review, and if you have something you want to share, you can tag us on Instagram or Facebook, or go to our page, teacherneedsdrinkpodcast.com, and leave contact there. All right, guys, have a good week. School year's almost done. Stay healthy, my friends. Bye.
Miss Rosie Rose, did you have something?
No, sorry, a bug flew up my nose and I freaked out and I was trying to mute myself and it rose my hand. But now that you asked, yes, that